Hello, 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 hello. Today I think is a really important message, and I was talking to our on-demand mastermind about this on Zoom that we're streaming from, and I'm going to change my view there. And we were just talking about the very real experience that we all have sometimes when we're feeling uninspired in our business, uninspired in our life, or we're just straight out bored, right? How many of you guys are bored? Like, let's just, who's uninspired and who's bored? Right? Who's uninspired and who's bored? Just go in the chat right now because it's actually good for me to see where we're at. Both in Go said, right? Who's uninspired or who's bored? Go in the chat and let me know. Okay, super. Thanks for being honest about that. Okay. So I'm going to define this for a second. First of all, I think this has come out of me a lot recently. And that's the understanding that when people say, just take action, just take action, just take action. When your feelings make you feel like you have a weight on you, like it's like, ugh, like you're like slugging around, you're feeling of boredom, you're feeling of exhaustion, you're feeling of maybe mistrust, right? Sometimes you don't trust yourself. Sometimes you don't trust a company you work for or work with, right? So when you're slugging around these emotions, guess what happens? Nothing fast, right? Nothing fast. And so what happens is it basically compounds and you feel like the weight gets thicker. And then what do you think you do? Number one thing you do is you start to feel like you're uninspired, bored, or not into it anymore. And you start to question as if something's wrong with this. Okay. So I want to tell you something. That's a bold lie. That's a bold lie. Everybody who's created something everybody who's created a marriage that is a 10 out of 10 marriage knows that literally they could have gotten caught in those emotions. I'm bored. I look at them. I'm not attracted to them anymore. They drive me nuts. This isn't how I thought my life was going to turn out. Oh, really? Right? And so now let me take that into business. I'm not feeling this anymore. I'm not feeling inspired by this anymore. Like I love what I do, but I'm not really connected to it anymore. And then here's what it looks like in your fitness. It's like, I know that when I work out a lot that I get this momentum and I feel amazing, but I'm just not there anymore. Like it's hard. Right? And so these are just, this is what it sounds like. Am I right or am I right? Put yes. If you've said any one of those three things somewhere, say yes in the chat, okay? Because we need to know that we're on point and that we have a connection here. So the reason why I like to start with that is because when you understand what it sounds like and looks like, you can not allow it to take you out, okay? So everybody who's made good strides in their career knows that many times along the way, they didn't feel connected to what they were doing. I teach a list building course. I won't teach it again until January, but I teach a list building course all the time, all year. I've been doing it for over 12 years, maybe 13 years. And I'm going to tell you I went through the emotion of this isn't good enough. Like all my peers are teaching all these amazing things and I'm teaching list building. Like and then I felt embarrassed that I taught list building because it wasn't my greatest work. It wasn't the most amazing thing that people would say, oh my gosh, Shanda, you're brilliant. It wasn't that at all. It was basic list building and it's not brain surgery to do it. It is completely it's easy. It's easy once you do it. It's easy. It's a little challenging at first because you haven't done something new, but it's easy. And then I went from that emotion to, I just don't want to teach this anymore. And then I remember saying this out loud, and this is where I'm going to go the second part of this process, is I remember saying these exact words. I could lay on the floor and teach list building and never get off the floor. I'm just so bored with teaching this. Okay, so I wanted to be vulnerable and open with you because I want to unhook you from some of those emotions and those thoughts. There's something that I call C-level executive or C-level leadership is what I call. And I don't know if I have a pen here. So C-level leadership is if you have a C-level executive, and I don't know, do you have a dream to be in the C-suite? What the C-suite means is that you're making good money. Okay, the C-suite in a business, like if you're a team member or an employee, C-suite has autonomy, makes their own decisions, they call the shots, they do the planning, and they're responsible for the execution, and they make more money. right? C-level in entrepreneurship is the CEO, right? The COO, well, COO would work for you, but CEO, right? And that role is, again, like, you can't sweat the small stuff. Okay. And so I believe that most of you guys have C-suite level dreams. Am I right? Yes or no? Right? Or do you not? Like, do you have, like, the opposite of that is I just have small dreams and I want to make a couple $1,000s a month and, just do the thing. Right. So most of you guys, so I'm right. So many of you guys have C-suite level dreams. Okay. So the first thing is, how do I say this? I'm just going to say it. It might not sound great, but you have to stop talking about what's wrong. That is the first thing that you must do. You have to stop talking about what's wrong. And I'm not talking law of attraction here. I'm not talking any of that. Okay, I'm saying that C-level executives do not talk to other people about their problems. They don't talk to them about their emotions. They don't talk to them about their problems. Why? Because it's not appropriate, right? It's not appropriate for me to call Keith up and start talking to him about my fears, my emotions, who I'm upset about, if I don't trust somebody in my company, it is not appropriate. Can you guys hear that? It's not appropriate. What does appropriate mean? Standard. Appropriate is standard. Some of you guys, and it's okay if you've been complaining about this or you've been talking to people. I get it. The under the C-level dreams will actually justify it and say, well, I need to talk to somebody. And like, Shanda, these problems are happening. I need to talk to somebody. I need to deal with it. I need to, I don't feel connected. I don't feel, and then it just keeps going deeper. And then it's like, I'm kind of bored. I don't really know. And it's like all these problems and everybody who's in a C-level dream and manifesting it and living it just sits there and goes, okay, at first they try and offer advice and then they want to get away from you. This is the honest to God truth. You know why? Because they actually start to label people who are powerful as weak. Because if you cannot figure out how emotionally to get back committed to what it is that you said you were going to do, back committed to that marriage, back committed. And by the way, if you've got a divorce, you've got a divorce. I'm not talking about your past, right? Like, I'm talking about now. I'm talking about where we're going now. If you want a C-level dream, there is no other way to get there than to level up your standards. And your standards need to be, I don't want to be looked at as somebody who cannot solve a problem. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? If you feel stuck, there's a problem you can't solve. Well, what happens when I worked in corporate America and I worked for someone and they're running the company in a certain way? Or you're in network marketing, right? Like, you don't own the company, you're subject to the company. And then I'll go to entrepreneurship. Is that fair? Because you got to see this. Some of you guys are married to people in companies, right? Or you're in network marketing or whatever that looks like. It's important to know this. You got family members who are working for people. You need to know how to lead it. Because what will happen is eventually you will get irritated by it. Or even worse, you will start to engage in it. And when you engage in it, my friends, you know what starts to happen? Your dreams go away. Because what happened, the cost is so high. It is so high. I think it was Brandon Dawson. I don't know. It was Brandon Dawson. I don't know if you know him, but he works for Grant Cardone and works with Grant Cardone, I think he owns a company with them or I don't know. Anyway, Brandon Dawson. He just wrote a book called Nine Figure Thinking or Nine Figure, something like that. Anyway, you can tell I don't study Brandon Dawson, but I do think he's brilliant. And he said whenever he hears somebody not take responsibility for when you're talking about the problems, you're taking no responsibility. There's no responsibility to solve it. Are you guys hearing me right now? Is this like, I want to know if you're hearing me, put yes, if you are, or if you're confused, put confused. Okay. But what happens is he said when he hears, so if I called him up and I was talking to him and I was just like, gosh, like I'm trying to do this webinar and create this webinar that's evergreen. And I just like, Jonathan just keeps doing this in the marketing department. And, Teresa keeps doing this in operations. And I just feel so frustrated. Okay. So that shows you corporate America and entrepreneurship, right? If he hears me say that and he gives me a piece of advice and I keep consistently talking about that, he's not going to hang out with me. And he speaks publicly on this. And the reason why he does that, and will surprise some of you guys because he's created 9 figures, is that he knows that will get in him. And then he will start to do that in other areas of his life. Are you guys hearing what I'm saying here? So now this is not intuitive, because what we do is we go to the people we love who will 100% align with us, and we tell them about our problems. And this is where it gets tricky, because it's like, I know you need somebody to process with, but the heart of you, I talk a lot about the heart, because people are always asking me how to get bigger events and bigger attendance and more engagement. It's all in bigger. It's all in C-level thinking, right? Everything's in bigger. And it's like, you can't get bigger unless you change the heart. Well, if I come to you, right, Kyla, if I come to you and I'm telling you, say you're my sister, and I'm telling you about all the areas I'm stuck in. I feel bored. I feel uninspired. I don't like the way the company's being run. I don't like whatever, right? Then if Kyla ends up engaging with me around that, she might say, Shanda, I'm sorry that you're feeling that way, but the best thing she could say is, I know you know how to solve this. That's the best. When you get people around you, and I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of people who are employed right now in amazing companies who do not practice this. And they look like rock stars because they're with a rock star. And they might be a hard worker and have great work ethic, but I'm telling you, that doesn't mean you're going to get financial freedom. Everybody thinks they're going to work their way to financial freedom, and you are not. Because eventually people will get tired of you hitting the same ceiling, and they will lose trust in you and they will pull away. Okay. Because there's only so long you can hide your emotions, and eventually your logic and justification will come out. So I have a rule, and I do not go to my husband if I want to process around something, unless I know that I'm clean enough to know that I want to solve the problem. And by the way, the solution is never quitting for me. I've never quit a job when I was uninspired. I've never quit a job or a program, product, or marketing campaign until I hit the mark. And I made that decision when I started getting high-level coaching, because I was taught it, and because nobody feels good about anything when they're losing. Right? When I wasn't doing well in my marriage, I didn't want to stick around. Okay. I broke up with my husband 17 times in one day. I mean, I was like the Young and the Restless soap opera. Yes, me, right? Driving the streets of Del Mar Beach, right? And he's following me. I swear I had my debut in the movies, because it was exciting and tormenting at the same time, because I was living, I don't know, one of those romance movies, right? And so now I was pregnant, so my hormones were over the top. But my point is that I felt stuck. I felt like I couldn't speak to him. I felt like he was super negative. I felt like my perception of what I saw in my husband is not the guy that I see today. Like, if I was to walk you through my bedroom and the bathroom, you're going to see Post-it notes that I wrote last night, and one's in the bathroom. My husband obviously hasn't found it yet, because I haven't gotten a text message or I haven't heard him laughing. He is the most infectious laugh on the planet. Like, I'm pretty sure everybody on the block sees the glow around our house when my husband laughs. He has the best laugh. Okay. And so I have a note for him right next to the toilet that he loves to sit on. And I have a note that is talking about his destiny. And it's as if it already happened. Right. And I already know he's going to sit there and he's going to laugh his head off, because he thinks I'm nuts, but he loves that I'm nuts about the fact that I put our dreams and aspirations around. Right. And I've got prayers up for a friend of mine is walking through, they found another hot spot of cancer on her brain. She just had brain surgery. And so she's got to go back in. And I talked to her, and do you know what's wild is her and her husband, very, very high believers and very, very, very strong entrepreneurs, like very successful. Okay. And I talked to my girlfriend, her name's Renee, and I talked to her. She lives in Puerto Rico. And I talked to her last week. I heard about the hot spot on her brain, and I called her, and I'm talking to her. I'm like, how's your spirit? She's like, I have absolute peace. She's like, I have little moments where I'm afraid, or that she goes, it's not even that I'm afraid. She goes, it just has ruined all of our Christmas plans. Because like our Thanksgiving, and we arranged for all of our kids and everybody to fly, and now I can't go. And she's like, my husband's like launching a church in Puerto Rico, and this is a guy who runs a massive fund, right? Like these are not low performers. They're high performers in their marriage. They're high performers in their faith for Jesus. They're high performers in their entrepreneurship. Like that's their gig. So talking to her, there was no place to engage with her around the sad ship of what she's having to walk right now. Does that make sense? Now, I know I'm very well aware that people who don't have C-level dreams think that what I'm saying right now is like, you're not processing your feelings. You're not, and that's just crap. Because that's not what's happening. It's not like you don't feel afraid and process. It doesn't mean you don't feel bored or uninspired. It doesn't mean that you don't want to divorce your wife or your husband at times in your life and you just want to throw in the towel. And it's the same with my career. I remember selling real estate for somebody else, and I didn't feel it anymore. I mean, I'm very good at marketing. I was very good at marketing before I ever took a marketing class. Right. And because I'm very good at loving people. And so when I stand in front of anybody, I can see you bigger than you are. And it's a gift that God has given me. And that gift has people that want to win. Right. Like people who are not afraid of stepping on my toes or like you're busy, like people who are not afraid of that, again, low vibrational stuckness. And they're more committed to their destiny, they win around me, right? Because eventually something I say hits and they go, right? So when I was in corporate America, I worked for a real estate company, and we did a lot. We did over $100 million in less than 2 years. That was not my target. My target was to hook up my boss. And that's, by the way, I really believe the reason why I've been very successful in the nightclub industry on the Las Vegas Strip. I took over a nightclub that nobody came to at the Venetian Hotel, and I built it up, and I learned how to throw a party every single night. And, looking back on your life, you can see why things connected, like why those things had to happen to become the person you are today. But so many people run away from the hardship because they have a feeling that they don't want to be here anymore. And you guys who teach spirituality, especially law of attraction, all of that, you got to hear me on this, because if you're going to run in that game, you need to be responsible enough to stop telling people it needs to feel good all the time, because that is not true. Okay. This idea like you're not in alignment anymore. Okay. That could be true. But what was your commitment? Because you can change out your spouses, you can change out your careers, you can change out where you work. But if you keep the pattern and the cycle of quitting, you will find your money will never go about. Do a check. Notice how similar your bank accounts have been for years. That's a you thing. That's a you thing. And when I got this, everything changed. So I made a rule with myself that I don't quit until I hit the destination. I have a vision with a video sales letter that we have. We have to hit it before I will say, all right, Jonathan, do we still want to do this or not? Do you know how badly I have wanted to stop doing that campaign? It's time consuming. It's high financial risk, right? Like all of these things. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Yes. But I have a rule, because there's something I haven't done or haven't seen or whatever to get it to 2,000 sales. right? And be profitable. And I know that my growth is in figuring that out. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? Right? And so I don't feel uninspired right now around it because Jonathan and I have done a great job working on it together. But and actually now I see I don't know about you, Jonathan, like I see like how it's hitting, right? And so I actually see it. And now when I see it, guess what happens? My alignment gets more on. Right? Like my alignment I'm like, oh, okay, let's go. I'm ready to go. Right? But when I'm spending money, and I'm just like any of you guys, when I'm spending money in a growth projection, there's not enough. And it feels like I just want to abandon ship and do something else that would be safer, smarter, whatever it is, the justification that you give. Okay, so C-level let me go back to real estate, is in real estate, I was emotionally triggered. I was mad all the time. I was a control freak in all the wrong ways. And I had this breakthrough around my leadership. And the breakthrough around my leadership was around teamwork. Anyway, that's when the company scaled. We did over $100 million, right? And all I did was I partnered with 3 people. I partnered with 3 companies, and only 2 of them did anything. One was the big feeder. And what would happen is we would sell 25 properties in 2 weeks. And it was like clockwork. It was very, very simple. We send emails to the investment group's database. We bring them to a conference call. We have a conversation about the deal. We drop a link to fill out an application. They fill out an application. We call them, we literally, it's like order taking. We book the real estate. And I remember waking up one morning and I looked at my BlackBerry. Yes, Blackberries back then. I looked at my BlackBerry and I had been out drinking the night before, because in real estate, especially working with investors, things like that. So my friend Joe DeSena created Spartan races because he's in the Wall Street world, Wall Street, real estate investing, some of these high level, C-level jobs has a lot of entertaining. Why? Because it's relationship building, right? Relationships will scale anything faster than any tactic or any marketing campaign than you could ever do. A relationship will scale it. That's why hanging out with people who are doing great things in the world is like a game changer for your business, right? That's why being in the right rooms. That's why yesterday I was pushing people, go to Zone Event, right? Like go to Zone Event. It's the worst thing you could do for your business being in isolation. Go to Zone Event, right? Be in rooms with people who are actually up. They're being influenced by leaders like me that are influencing people on all of the details, not on some of the things. You know what I mean? Like wherever you go with us, I tell you all of the way to get there. Not like, here's the cap to this marketing plan and you got to buy this to get the rest of the pen. I don't do that, right? If you're around me, I'm just going to tell you. Whether you buy from me, don't buy from me, I'm just going to tell you what to do. The difference is though, most of you guys need accountability and that's why you need to hire me. Do you know what I mean? Not all, but most of you do. You know who it is. It's the same with you, right? And so in real estate, I was like, wake up, look at my BlackBerry. And I never forget this, 250 applications to buy homes in one night. And I went like this. I threw my BlackBerry across the bed. I'd been out drinking. I was like, I do not want to do this anymore. I was like, I'm just so not into real estate. I was like, I don't really care about it. I feel lost. I don't know what I'm doing with my life. I'm hungover. There's just nothing about that moment. Like, and this is why I tell you, like, money can be a golden handcuff, but not forever. Because people eventually are like, I'm not into it anymore. Now, here's what the under C-level think, that feeling is a guiding light. And then what happens is everybody in that income bracket talks to you like that. And so it just strengthens it. And then you go to someone you love who knows you and they're enrolled by you. And so they're enrolled by you because you're a better salesperson than you think. And they align with you and start working the quitting game, the resignation game, the quitting game. And I see this all the time. This is why I have no tolerance. If you say you want to quit something, I'm like, did you hit the mark? True story. There's a woman who Gary Vee got right after me. And I said to her, she had started a business around Facebook ads and growing people's websites and kind of like this lead gen magnet thing. And she came to me to coach with me. And she was interviewing me back in the day that I actually did the calls. And she was interviewing me to hire me. And she said, I really feel like I want to go into fitness. Really feel like I want to go into fitness. And when you looked at her, she was a fitness guru, right? Like everything about her is perfect on her body. Like you're a walking billboard. I could see why you'd want to go into fitness. But I said, but what was your goal in this other company? And she didn't really have a goal. But she didn't hit the level of success she wanted. She was doing okay. Are you guys following me? Yes? No? Maybe so? Is this helping at all? Right? Are you seeing yourself in any of this? So she's trying to enroll me. She wants to do this fitness brand. And here's what she made up. You don't hear me, Shanda. Can I tell you how many times I've had this experience? A lot, because strong people don't want to be really moved. They want you to move with them, right? And so, even if it's a blind spot, they're like, no, I want you to edify that I'm making the right decision, and I want you to get on my team and do what I want you to do. I don't want you to be a coach. I don't want you to be a mentor. I don't want you to course correct. I don't want you to point out my blind spots. I want to hire you so you get behind me and push me to where I want to go. Do you guys see what I'm saying? In some cases, that's accurate. You need to do that. I need to do that as a coach and a mentor. And I will always do that, even if I think it's the wrong move, but I'm not going to lie to you. That is a commitment on my own value system. I'm going to tell you what I really believe. So I said to her, let's call her Tammy. I said, Tammy, I'm all about you building out the fitness brand. Like you live it, you walk it, you billboard it, you might just love it. But let's set a target for this other company. It doesn't have to be a big target, but it needs to be a target. And we need to hit it. Now, if she had a target, I would have made her stuck to that target, but she didn't. She didn't have, and I find this all the time. People don't even know what success is. They just want more. Well, more is not good enough. You need to actually know what the target is. I have a target. The target for Zone Event. I have a target for my calendar next year, my schedule. I have a target for the network marketing division that I am a part of now and the other company. I have a target there. I have a target everywhere. I have a target. I actually realized that I didn't have a clear enough target with my son. That was a big aha that I had the other day. I was like, I'm missing a target. Last night I was like, I'm missing a target with my kid. And so she didn't have a target. So I said, I want you to set a new target. And then let's hit that. She goes, well, I don't want to do that. That's no different to me than I'm bored. I don't want to do that is no different to me than I'm bored. Okay. And so remember, I'm a coach. And so my job is to look at the underlying leadership of what's going to make you successful or not. And you do not change with your excitement. If you feel excited about something, you're going to end up unexcited again. Like it's you're not in a place today that you were never in before. You have an emotion today that you are familiar with. And so your actions keep bringing you back to that same emotion. And I'm telling you, just like the Bible says, you can go mountaintop to mountaintop. I'm telling you that life can hit you and you can actually vibe. You can actually vibe is just excitement. You can actually have a heightened sense of security, excitement, inspiration, because you're running something that really is connected to your destiny. And it really actually doesn't matter what you're working. It matters that you run the ball to the end zone. Are you guys hearing? You got it? So I asked her to hit this target and she said, I don't feel like you hear me or see me. I respect you. I think you're amazing. You're a great person. That there's the justification of the people pleaser. And she goes, but like, I can't work with you. I was like, okay, no worries. Got it. And so about 4 months later, she knows Gary Vee. She went to Gary Vee and Gary Vee did not say it as nice as me. Gary Vee said to Tammy, You have one of the best business minds I have ever seen. Just because you haven't hit the multi-million dollar mark is not because of your mind, because your mind is one of the best business minds I've ever seen in my entire life. He said, but you're wanting to build out an Instagram account around tits and ass, and that's how you show up. And she did. That's how she showed up. Sorry to be so crass. That's what he said to her. He goes, so you want to go be a ditz out there when that's not even who you are because you think that's easier. She went back up to her hotel room and bawled her eyes out. And then she sent me a message. And she said, oh my gosh, I heard it. She now today has a business company that does very, very well. Sometimes you need a 2x4 to hit you up against the head to get you into a C-level game. But I'm telling you, all the emotions that tell you to get out are the ones that are going to tell you to get out in the next focus, and the one that's going to tell you to get out in the next one, the one that's going to tell you to get out in the next one. And only you can be honest with yourself about what that next level looks like. But here's what my rule is I don't complete anything until I hit the target. That's why I need to know what the target is. In a marketing campaign, I never say it didn't work. You're never going to get that out of my, it didn't work. I'm not going to say that, right? Like, even I worked with somebody in our company that just did not pay attention to the weeds and we lost a lot of money. I don't think that person didn't work out. I think that I didn't know how to lead them. That is the only way I can live and stay sane and feel like I'm not a victim to anything going on in the world. And so then what do? I don't sit there in that thought. I go, well, what would I have done differently? And how can I apply that right now? And so that's when I say when people are lacking intimacy, that's what intimacy looks like. It's actually going down to the root of it and go, how could I have led that differently? What could I have done differently? And then why would that have gotten me a better result? Does that make sense? I do this when I get off the zone stage for you guys going to zone event. When I get off the zone stage, I will, after my opening talk, which I was just working on with my friend Pat Quinn, right? And literally when I get off, I will have a notebook and I will write what worked and what didn't work. And a lot of people want to hang out in what works and doesn't want to look at what didn't work because you think that that's not celebrating. I'm not trying to stay here. I know that I will die. I know that. And so I want to experience as much money, as much amazing friendships, as much laughter. Like, do you know why I love living in Puerto Rico? Because I laugh more there. I do. I laugh more there. I feel like I am laughing at Tom Challen, a friend of mine, like every day almost when I'm there. And honestly, and I don't mean this in a drug, he really hasn't made me laugh here in California, but it's not him, it's me. Do you know what I mean? Like, when I'm in California, I'm like this, right? I don't know what it is. I'm running to karate. I'm doing this. I'm like, like I'm just like this. And then when I go to Puerto Rico, it's like, I'm going to Encanto. I'm going to have myself, a nice salad. I'm going to look at the ocean. I'm going to ride my golf cart. I'm not going to get in a car for like 2 months. You know what I mean? Like it's amazing. And everybody else is in the same island atmosphere. However, the community I live in is highly driven, much more driven than my friendships in California. No offense, Cali, right? But it's like everybody's hanging out on golf carts and I'm seeing, Shakira sitting next to my husband, right? At the breakfast. Michael Jordan's rolling in. We're meeting the guy who runs all the brand for Nike and like, hey, we should have dinner or lunch together. Like, just a different C-level mind. And that C-level mind, whether they're running corporations like CMOs, CEOs, COOs, they can make so much money, but it's not because the company makes a lot of money. It's because they help them do that. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, they caught on to that thought process, and that's why they make the type of money that they make. Do you get what I'm saying? Because they'll never get that job. They'll never get another job do you know that I'm saying this to Steve and Jonathan right now, there are CMOs right now in the world that are making $4 million a year. Okay? Like, you don't get that job unless you've done something remarkable. and you've actually grown a company to that level. Well, why? Because nobody's going to give you a shot at that. So you have to build it. Do you get what I'm saying? And when you build it, what happens is now you can move around wherever you want to move around, right? Like you either start getting shares in companies or whatever that looks like. This is what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter if you are an employee or you're an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter. You become the boss because of thinking like a C-level executive. There is no place I've ever worked, including the network marketing company that I'm in right now, or the real estate company that I became a VP, right? I didn't deserve the role of a VP, vice president, right? Like why, but I got it. Right? Or the nightclub industry, I was a general manager. I'd never been a bartender my entire life. Why do I always end up at the top? Because I never allow myself to talk about what's not working with anybody. Right? Not unless it's we're having a meeting about what's not working to solve it. I do not engage with my husband or anybody in my life, because if I do, they will align with me and I will quit. And I know that, and I learned it. And when I saw it, I subscribed that I will never quit anything in my life. And that has served me well. It has served me well. It's the reason why I don't feel scared if things get hard. It's the reason why I don't allow myself to fall. Like I don't fall. I mean, I fall. Everybody falls. I mean, listen, Russell Brunson bankrupted, I think, 2 companies. I'm not sure about, definitely one, but I think it was 2, right? He almost bankrupted ClickFunnels. He said his email list saved him from bankrupting 2 times in ClickFunnels. His email list saved him, right? It's like, what does that mean? That ClickFunnels just went, no, it did not. It did not. So I don't know what problem you're facing in your life, but here's what I do know. You have the ability to solve it. You have the ability to solve it. You make the decision. Do you want to live under the C-level dream or at the C-level? If you want to be at the C-level, you need to be a boss, which means that when people come to you and complain, you don't hang out in that, but you're also empathetic. You're not like, get over it. That's not how you operate. You're like, hey, let's talk through this because I know there's a way through this. You literally change the way that you talk to people, right? At the same time, if you need to kick somebody's tushy, you do that too. And you don't worry about what you look like. You're like, hey, this isn't working for you. And you need to step up, right? Step up or step out. And if they step out, guess what? They'll keep stepping out. You show me somebody who stepped out of a job, a campaign, a commitment, and they will keep stepping out until they hear the message of this. And when they hear the message of this, they'll realize it's not the perfect marriage, the perfect business, the perfect person to work for. It's not that's the lie. And I believe in heaven and hell because I've seen it on this earth. I know what hell looks like and I know what heaven looks like. And I think you do too. And I'm telling you, hell is real. And hell is living underneath the quality of life and the quality of person that you can be. That is hell. And what hell does is deceive you that you need to quit because you're not aligned. And that is crap. Get yourself aligned. Get yourself committed. Finish what you start. And that's all I got for you today. I hope that was helpful, you guys. It was inspired by somebody who messaged me who's a boss, and I gave her very similar coaching. And I don't know whether or not she took it or didn't take it. But what I do know is that I believe in you. I believe in humanity. I believe in people. I believe that people are much stronger than they think. And I believe that everything can change like that because I've seen it happen both from the advantage of coaching people, right? I've seen people shift very quickly. I've seen people go from food stamps to $140,000 a year in their first year of business. Then I've seen people who are comfortable who have literally not made a dime in their business, like for 3-4 years, right? What's real? Not making a dime in your business or the $140,000 your first year in business? What's real, right? Is it real that this is not coming together, that it's not going to work, that you don't have the resources, that you don't have the support? Is that real? Or is it real that you haven't done what it takes to commit to Zone Event? Or commit to, I don't know, hiring Tony Robbins, or commit to, proposing to the person that you're going to marry someday. I don't know. But what I do know is I see and will see this pattern, and I guarantee you see it too. Because we're having the conversation. Now the question is will you go into blind spots and sweep it under the rug? Or will you step up today? And that's a commitment I ask for you to say right now in the chat. Are you going to live the way you've been living? Is it going to stay the same? Or are you going to step up? Is it going to stay the same? Or are you going to step up? Is it going to stay the same? Or are you going to step up? If you're going to step up, I'm going to recommend, if you're not driving right now, stand up. And the reason why I tell you to stand up right now is because if you don't stand up right now, you probably won't have the commitment to do it, because it's uncomfortable to stand up right now. You don't feel like standing up right now. Standing up right now feels ridiculous because you're on the other side of a video or a live online. And so it just feels like, how's this going to help me? I'm telling you, it's a willingness to commit. All right, you guys, I'm sending you so much love. I'm going to go to the on-demand mastermind right now. If you do not have your ticket to Zone event, you need to get it. Okay? You need to get it. Send me a message. Put the word Zone in the chat. If you need a coach and you are not currently coaching with us, put the word coach, right? Like stop staying the same. Step up. Step up. And I know it's fearful. I know there's not enough. I know all the things. But guess what? We have funding for you to coach with us. We have support. We have plans. We have all of that. If you need a coach, put the word coach in the chat and somebody will reach out to you. All right, you guys, step up or stay the same. Totally up to you. All right.